Hi guys, welcome to the very first Undisputed podcast. I'm joined by my mate, Mr. Julio Garcia. Julio, thanks for joining me.
So nice to finally meet another fight fan, my bro.
Yeah, man. So basically what this is, just so that everyone knows, is we all know we have the Undisputed TV show, which runs across Africa on Starsat. But because I can't always say exactly what I'm thinking and what I feel about stuff that's happening in the world of MMA, we've now launched our very first episode of the Undisputed podcast. I managed to find another massive fight fan that I could pull in Mr. Julio Garcia. So every week you're going to see us just having a bit of a rap about what's happening in the world of MMA around the world, locally a bit in South Africa, and just talking a bit of shit.
Are we allowed to swear?
I think we can. It is a podcast.
Fucking hell.
So there's no, what do they call them? The thing that people complain to about your language and everything else, it doesn't exist in no broadcasting complaints on podcasts.
Sweet.
So just a bit about what's happened this weekend. Obviously, one championship happened this weekend as well. A bit different event for an MMA event. They had a world title kickboxing event, which was actually won by a female Thai fighter, and then they also had a WBC world boxing fight. So Manny Pacquiao, being a shareholder, obviously is pulling them towards boxing, I think, a bit, which is a bit different to most. But we won't focus too much on that, just a bit of a touch. And then also EFC happened this past weekend. Right. I did talk about two fights which were interesting to me. One was Sylvester Chifombu, which came away with a great win in that one, calling out the whole bantamweight division. And then one of the most talented fighters in that organization, Iga Cabeza, coming away with a win again, just so you know where we are in the world of South African MMA. But the big one that everyone is talking about, and the one we're going to focus pretty much the whole episode on, is the fight between Khabib and Conor McGregor. We had a bit of a side bet going on that one.
Yeah, look, I mean, it was, Khabib absolutely mauled him. It wasn't even close. I was, when I saw Conor's tweet later on after the drama, I'm looking forward to the rematch, I thought, geez, I wouldn't be looking forward to the rematch. I mean, he absolutely destroyed him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't, I was thinking maybe the third round, I might have sort of edged, but I'm a big Conor fan, I might have sort of edged, giving him that round, but other than that, I just felt like he mauled him. He absolutely mauled him. Obviously what happened afterwards, everybody's freaking out about it. It wasn't cool, guys got arrested, but it all adds to the drama. What I was laughing, people were saying about Dana White, using that bus footage, and he said, it's part of the story, so how could we not? So what I want to know is going forward, is this not part of the story as well? Do you know what I mean? What Khabib did was wrong and there was a big fight and a big drama, but it's part of the story. So they're going to use that to promote the next fight. What are they going to do?
Yeah, you see, so I have multiple issues with this. So I'm a Khabib fan. I told you I didn't think Conor had a hope in hell of beating him. I told you that before the fight. But beside the actual fight where I think Conor just got absolutely smoked, and I don't see the reason for the rematch. If you took such a bad beating, what are you going to change in the next 6 months to warrant it? Yeah. That's if Khabib doesn't get suspended for the next year, which is what the talk is at the moment. But my problem with Dana White, the UFC, and even Joe Rogan and all the people that were sitting cage side and talk so much shit about the fight is when Conor did everything he's done, so jumping over the cage at Bellator, throwing bottles at the press conference with Nate Diaz, attacking a bus, injuring innocent fighters, all the other shit that he does, UFC took no steps. So when Dana got interviewed and they were like, oh, Dana, what are you going to do? It's no, he's been arrested. We're not taking any steps. Yeah. Okay, so now Khabib's done it. You are taking steps. You're talking about a suspension. You're talking about his whole fight purse being taken. If you're going to allow guys to act like thugs, don't be surprised when bigger gangsters act like thugs. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, no, it's. I suppose it's an interesting one, but I just think Conor's the golden boy. 100%. It's obvious, they interviewed Tony Ferguson afterwards. I thought it was brilliant. I'm petrified of Tony Ferguson even fighting Conor because he's a machine, right? But Ferguson was just saying, that Conor's the golden boy. So who would he fight rather, Khabib, or would he fight Conor? And he wants Conor. He'd fight both of them, but Conor's still the money fight. So that's what it is. So the UFC have got a cash cow in Conor. Obviously, they're not going to take any action against him ever. He can pretty much do what he wants. They might as well make him a partner.
And I want to show something. So we got a screen behind us, and I'm talking exactly about this Conor being the golden boy thing. So this is the melee that ensued after the fight. So watch Khabib climb the cage. Now, remember, they said they're taking no action against Conor.
Yes, yeah.
Conor's got no action. They've paid him his fight purse already. They've held Khabib's fight purse. So there goes Khabib. One of Khabib's teammates climb over the cage. Conor tries to jump the cage and then gets held back. Khabib's teammate jumps up. Look who takes the first swing.
Yeah.
So Conor takes the first swing at Khabib's teammate. And then the fight breaks out between the rest of Khabib's teammates and Conor, and all the rest happens. But
so somebody jumps in from behind. This is where the guy jumps in from behind, whacks him twice in the back of the head.
So now my thing is, they said that USADA reviewed the footage. Now, this footage was on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere right after the fight. So they said, Conor, and Joe Rogan himself, his statement during this was, Conor was just innocently sitting on the ground after he lost, and he was taking in the loss, and he was just assaulted. Now, if you're going to try jump the cage number one, it means you're involved in the melee. If you take a swing at the opponent who's on the cage, are you not involved? So, and this again brings me back to, so Conor's been paid. There's been no charges pressed against him. He's already been cleared by USADA of having no wrongdoing.
Yeah.
But searching on YouTube for less than 20 seconds, you can already see that he was taking a swing at people.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole world can see this. So I suppose that's what it is. He's sort of like the money Mayweather. He's still the money fight. So I hear what you're saying. Maybe they'll have a rematch, maybe they won't. I don't think Conor should go there. I think Conor should focus on fights that he can maybe win. He's got a 6-fight deal now with the UFC. Better chance. I think Tony Ferguson's a bad idea for him as well.
And I said this to everyone before the fight. And this is what I said this to multiple people. I said this is the play of events that I see. One, he's going to lose to Khabib, and he's going to lose badly. And my fear was that someone was going to get hurt. I didn't think it would be people in the crowd, but I knew it would be someone. The only fight that makes sense after that kind of display in my mind, and the only fight that I think they can really punt, is Diaz 3.
Yeah.
Because everyone still wants to see it. I want to see it. I thought he lost the second fight. Yeah. One judge thought he lost the second fight. He's already told Diaz before the Khabib fight that he's going to give Diaz a rematch, which I think was a setup anyway. Yeah. If he then wins that fight, you come back and you go up against a Ferguson or a rematch against Khabib. For me, the only fight to make right now is Khabib-Ferguson. Yeah. And I think that that's a much tougher matchup for Khabib than Conor is. Yeah. Because Ferguson is awkward. He's good off his back. He's good on the ground. He throws insane shots. And the unfortunate part about all of this is everyone's only talking about the Khabib-Conor fight and the crap that happened afterwards. But the Pedersen-Ferguson fight is, in my opinion, along with the brave fights I saw in Abu Dhabi between Munir Sniper, those two fights are probably my pick for fights of the year.
Yeah. No, they were great fights.
I mean, those two just absolutely beat the shit out of each other. Yeah. Pettis had a cut. There was blood everywhere. He broke his hand in the second round. Yeah. If that thing went 3, it would be by far the biggest fight of the year in MMA anyway.
100%. Look, I don't know about, he's got a 6-fight deal now with the UFC, Conor, right? So he's still got 5 fights left. I was actually thinking, like, who can he actually fight next? But this is the thing. So even though Conor got beat up so badly and whatever happened after the fight happened, he's still a superstar. Yeah. You can't take it away from him. So he's going to have another 5 fights regardless. This is like gang shit. Do you know what I mean? This is gang shit. These guys should just sort the stuff out in the streets. This is not.
But I'm going to go back to this. So remember what happened in Brooklyn. Yeah. Conor brought 20 guys and attacked a bus. Yes. Khabib got off the bus, and his statement was, "Tell me when, tell me where." Yeah. The problem is, if you get and I mean, Conor's openly gone after his family, his religion. He was speaking about guys in Russia that Khabib's linked to that have been locked up. If you're going to go after gangsters like a gangster, what did you think was going to happen?
And I actually heard Putin, I'm sure you heard as well, that Putin actually called Khabib to congratulate him. And maybe next World Cup that they host, he can invite Khabib and Conor to
sit together.
I don't know if they'll survive the melee that'll happen in the box.
I love it, man. Even the stuff afterwards, I know it's like Dana. I've never seen Dana so sad and so like I can't believe this happened. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're putting 2 animals in a cage that don't like each other to fight each other, all their teams, Irish, Russian fans. What else do you expect to happen? As much security as you're going to, what Khabib did was wrong, like 100%, but what Conor did was also wrong. So,
and honestly, in my opinion, the one who's actually to blame for all of this is Dana White. Yeah. Because he's allowed it. He allows Conor to act however he wants, say whatever he wants. When the bus thing happened, he didn't fine him. He didn't take any action against him. He was just like, let's just punt a little bit more. We'll make a bit more money. We'll sell more pay-per-views. And then when Khabib, who, again, they're Russians. Like, when you insult a guy's family and the whole works, and I was laughing and I said to my mates, like, geez, did you see what Khabib did? I said, yeah, that's what happens when Khabib gets off the bus. Yeah, like everyone was asking, let him get, that's what happens. Like, if you're going to act like a gangster and a thug, and the guy says to you, tell me when and where, and I mean, even the choke, if you saw what happened after the choke, he wanted to beat the shit out of Conor even before that.
But Conor didn't say anything back. You know, Khabib said he just left it. All right. Well, I mean, that's it. So we'll see what happens.
So, I, in my opinion, honestly, I think the next fight they'll make is the Diaz fight. Diaz is fighting now, you know, win or lose. So I think that fight happens anyway because it'll take the focus off the shit that happened in this fight for a little bit. Yeah. They can then shift the focus to the 1-on-1 between Diaz, the shit talking between them. Diaz will always bring a fight. He'll always talk shit, so it'll hype itself anyway. 100%. And then after that fight, Conor wins. I think it'll be a Ferguson or Khabib fight again, probably Khabib.
Yeah, we've got to see the rematch just because of everything that's happened. I mean, even though Khabib killed him, but sooner or later, if Khabib loses to Ferguson, for example, I think we've got to see the rematch anyway, even if Conor gets dominated again, which he probably will.
I think the rematch will be more for the story than the fight, to be honest.
Story. Well, that's it. I mean, if somebody beats you both times, you can't say anything. You can say whatever you want. But
and to be honest, I'd love to see a fight between Conor and Ferguson. I think the stand-up between them, if you watch him against Showtime Pettis, I think the stand-up between the two of them would be sick. Yeah. Ferguson can take a beating, he can take a licking. We saw that. He took some massive shots in that fight. If him and Conor win 2-3 rounds, that could on its own be one of the greatest fights ever. And then you take him against Khabib.
Yeah, I actually saw what Rogan said on Instagram. Something else I really enjoyed about the fight. Is it the Black Beast? The big...
Yeah, Lewis.
I mean, he took his pants off.
And when he took his shorts off. Balls were getting hot.
Yes.
So Derek Lewis is just an absolute... If you watch that fight, so Lewis was getting smoked. I mean, he was losing the fight all the way through 3 rounds. I think 20 seconds left, he clipped him, jumped on him, absolutely manhandled him, and won the fight with 10 seconds left in a fight that he was losing. And then when he got asked if he wants a title shot, he said, not with my gas tank, like, I can't do shit. He said, I'm tired as fuck. And then they said, why'd you take your shorts? This is why my balls were getting hot. I'm like...
check it out on YouTube. It was awesome.
And also, go and follow Derek Lewis's Instagram account. Like, if you want to see something that's just funny as all fuck, he is incredible. He's nuts to watch. And again, that brings me back to the storyline from all of the fights on that card were just insane. Yeah, the Derek Lewis fight, the Pettis fight, and it all comes down to what happened to it afterwards. It is a pity, but do yourself a favor. If you haven't watched that whole event, go watch it. It was just nuts.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And again, I think, and that this is my opinion, and I would do it on the same card, to be honest. I would do a co-main event of Diaz-Conor and a main event of Ferguson-Khabib on the same card. Yeah,
you think Conor's going to fight on Khabib's undercard?
I would do it just to have them on the same card, to build the story more. I think that's what I would do. Whether they'll do it, whether Conor will do it, I don't know. I mean, it's. But again, if your only thing is to sell tickets and to sell pay-per-views, I think a card like that would sell a shit ton.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, man.
Well, there you have it, guys. That's the first episode of the Undisputed Podcast. Me, Julio Garcia. You're going to see us every week talking absolute smack about what's happening in the world of MMA. The other thing that is coming up, and there's more stories coming out about it, we'll focus a lot more on that as well, is the biggest thing to happen in MMA in South Africa. Brave is coming here in December. Yeah, There's been a bit of talk about what's happening. Franz Mlambo talking about Conor McGregor. He is one of Conor McGregor's sparring partners. Originally from South Africa, moved to Ireland, won the gold medal at the IMF World Championships for South Africa and Ireland. When Khabib fought Jose Aldo, Conor, he was Conor's main sparring partner for that fight. So he's fighting on the Brave card in South Africa, a homecoming for him. Chad Hanekom coming to fight in South Africa, so he'll be back here fighting in his hometown. A lot more coming from that event. There is an MMA event happening, a local one, Fight Stars. There is also a local boxing event happening, Real Steel. There's a local Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. A lot happening that week. We'll talk a lot more about it, but that's us for this week. Julio, thanks for joining us.
So just quickly, bro, if you compare Brave to the EFC, how much better is Brave than the EFC?